Welcome to First Center, or I should say, because some of you are viewing in different places, good morning and good afternoon and good evening for one or two of you. I'm grateful that so many people are on the call. Usually I can see the board and see all the names, but Jimmy tells me there's quite a few people tuning in. So we're really excited to see as many people here today as there are. People all over the country and in some instances all over the world. We're happy to have you here with us in increasing numbers every week. People who are listening also to our rebroadcast on Facebook and YouTube, welcome here also. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're here in the front row, we're thrilled to see you and that we can all be here together in this moment. Last week, one of you said that this is one of the most empowering places on Zoom. That was a nice compliment to get. It's great to hear. Suzu, who helps us with our social media, reported to Jimmy and me Friday that we had 154 new people sign up this week. That's very exciting. These are people who are either tuning into our Zoom or people who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook. You can watch our rebroadcasts on Facebook 24 hours a day. So if any of the lessons are particularly helpful, you can go there and listen to them again. I know I used to listen to the lessons I heard usually twice and sometimes 3 times because I would always get more each time I listened. We created a very big vision for this center 4 or 5 years ago. There was a group of us that we slugged it out. By that I mean we met every week. And we created a vision and we worked on consciousness always, community building, organization, and a lot of things that were missing and not in place. And we did it week after week after week after week, and working with books like Good to Great and material by Gary Simmons. So it was a lot of planning, and we wanted to go from being good to great, and we wanted to find a way to reach a bigger audience and to make a difference. We didn't know we were going to encounter COVID, but the work we were doing paved the way for the success we're experiencing today. So thank you one and all for your support, your time, and any of you who were involved in that process. It's really the thing that set us on course. If you're here for the first time, you probably know something about what we teach. You might know a little bit about New Thought. Many of you, most of you, by the thousands, find us because of the work of Louise Hay. She is remembered now in ways that Ernest Holmes and some of the people that were a part of our movement are not remembered in the same way. But there's people like Ernest Holmes and the Fillmores of Unity and a lot of people that came before that taught us the things that they did. So we carry on with what they taught. We carry on with what Louise Hay, who used to be a part of this center when she was much younger, we carry on with their timeless messages of truth, and we teach you what they taught. We teach you about healing your life and learning to demonstrate abundance and just greater good in every area. This was the place that Louise Hay herself studied under one of our ministers. She became a practitioner. She wrote her first book while she was here. If you're interested, we present self-healing classes every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the message goes on. We've been teaching that material, or I've been teaching that material every week since the 1980s. And it's not so much I teach it, I just present, the principles that were taught. And I blend in a lot of Ernest Holmes as well. We teach you every week, we present in our gatherings that you have power, you have immense power, and you can learn how to use it. You can create better health, you can create more harmony, you can have peace. So again, we teach you can heal your life. And more than that, you can develop a great vision for yourself. You have the capacity to create an amazing life. And so it's worth taking the time to develop a vision that's amazing and keep on working to live the affirmative life. Start with affirmations and denials. Denials are the things you do to neutralize the negatives. And then, as you go further, we will teach you affirmative prayer treatment. And then there's other tools you can do to build up your consciousness. We hope this time together fills you up and leaves you feeling inspired and more empowered as you go forth this week. We always have some time for personal sharing after our lessons. If you're here with us on Zoom, there'll be an opportunity for you to say hello and introduce yourself if you want to. No one has to share. If you're watching us on any of the social media channels, please send us a request or your info so you can join us on Zoom. The lessons are wonderful however you encounter them, but the personal sharing and listening to others is done through Zoom. Today's lesson is about abundance. And I haven't been talking about abundance in quite a while because I know that the country and a lot of people have gone through a challenging time, we'll say before COVID, and I'm sensitive to that and what people are experiencing. But I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought this is really, here I'm using the word should. When people are going through tough times, then ideally we'd be practicing more. So why talk about abundance? Why remind people about abundance? Because each of us have access to every good thing. We are one with Spirit, we are one with the One, and we have direct access. I'll call it inner access. Since very young, I've been told Spirit is always wooing me. Spirit is wooing you. It is a voice within you that you really can't quiet it. If you slow yourself down long enough, it's going to get through, and it will guide you if you let it. So my suggestion always is, as my father used to tell me, Spirit won't be the uninvited guest. So let us each acknowledge that Spirit is within us and invite it into our awareness. As we do, we will, the more we commune with it, the more it will guide us. Now, I realize not everyone understands when I say abundance is at reach and abundance is within. I realize everyone doesn't understand that like some of you do. And not everyone even believes it. Some of you are very new and new to new thought. And a lot of the things we say sound weird or strange. And we say all these empowering things, and it might even seem too much, because if your mindset is life is difficult, nobody understands what I'm going through or how hard it is, and if your mindset is it's terrible, there's division and there's hatred and there's pain and there's suffering, and you hear somebody like me talking about the talking points I talk about, it just might seem like, my God, is this guy lost his mind? Is this, it's like, what the hell? But eventually, if you hang with us, if you just keep tuning in, because you're all brilliant people, everybody is smarter than they know, part of Spirit, you have all the intelligence in the world within you, operating through you. Eventually, you'll come to see and understand and believe that you are one with this one power and that it's within you and it will guide you if you let it. There's always been power available to you. Now, I know that isn't something every single person will believe. I was told in my 20s that this power has been the best kept secret in the world. And that was from a Unity minister, Bill Cameron, who used to say, the best kept secret in the world is God in you. God in you, Spirit within you. This energy within you is the best kept secret in the world. I remember going to church every day because I went to parochial school and we had mass every day. And I remember going to school every day, lighting candles of all kinds, looking up at what I thought were sacred images, statues. And I was taught that I was a sinner and all the things I must do to become worthy of love and salvation and all of that. I know some of you have gone, I know some of you have had some of that, and many of you have been spared all of that, which you were lucky. Because a lot of that stuff that I learned, I had to unlearn. But many of you have done other things. Some of you have gone on pilgrimages in your life. You've gone off to see a healer of some kind or another. I used to, during that period in my life where I would go to different types of people for healing and information, there was always somebody who knew something that I was always going to see. I won't tell you the long list of things I went to or I tried, and everything from hypnosis to people telling my future, and I just won't tell you all this stuff because it's too bizarre. But that was the time in my life where I was off to see the wizard. And all that really means is I was looking for answers, right? And I was questioning everything. Somehow, even as a kid, when I was young, I knew I wasn't that bad, and I realized whatever this power was, it could not be choosing one people over another. In other words, there's no chosen people, but yet I was brought up in a religion that would suggest that we were it, and everybody else, of course, wasn't it. So I knew that didn't make sense. Thankfully, I kept questioning. It took me another 10 or 15 years for some of this to come together. I was a kid. I'm sure most of you will be able to make these connections that I now have much faster because you're adults. When I was younger, my parents believed in all this dogma also, which didn't make it any easier. I could never get a straight answer from them because they believed in it. And I couldn't understand whether this God or energy was a loving God or one that I must please and or fear. My parents didn't really know how to answer those questions. I would ask my father, how come my aunt's family is not welcome in the church anymore? And they're not welcome to receive the sacraments when my aunt's husband left her for another person, and things like that. And nobody had good answers. There were no satisfying answers, and why God would favor one people or one group of people over another, or one religion over another. I think, as I recall, in early grade school, this God was presented as, again, both loving and something to be feared, because clearly one day I'd go to either heaven or hell, and it had the ability to punish me along the way. I say all that today only because I know there are a few of you that wrestle with this powerful God idea, and you were told that it's above, and you were told that it was a guy, and it was something many of you feared, and you thought you needed salvation, and you needed redemption, and you needed saving, and all of that. And somehow you thought that you had to become better. You had to get better. And who you are and what you are in your own mind was not good enough. And, we get that stuff from our families, usually, and the people that have raised us. So if there's a shred of that still in you, if there's even a bit of any of that in you, it's time once and for all to let it go. Let it go. The dogma of these old faiths, these faiths, all of them have beauty in them, every last one of them. But it's what was built through the centuries around them. The dogma of these old faiths stem from the idea that one person's path is superior to another, and the idea that one is true and the others are false. People have been fighting and warring throughout the centuries, many centuries, and killing unknown, just killing and killing and killing. You can go to any part of the world and you'll see a reenactment of that same story. It's unfortunate, but people are where they are in consciousness even today. I'm in New York. There'll be people in the streets, they'll be fighting, they'll be doing what they do. People are where they are in consciousness. We don't have to be in that place anymore. We can see peace instead of all of that. We do not have to participate in any of it. The important thing to communicate today, for me to communicate, is that we need to understand that this divine source is not limited to any one religion. This source, this energy is within everyone, regardless of religion. The religions that teach superiority or that they are the only way, well, thankfully, most of them are completely dying out because people have moved past that place. They absolutely know better. When we learn to access and commune with this power that we talk about every week, and we learn to apply it, we learn to rely on it, the power that has the power that has been hidden within, when we learn how to use it, discover it, and use it and commune with it, abundance in every good thing is within reach. Once you know who you are and the power you have, abundance in every good thing is within reach. I hope the lesson today helps you unleash your personal abundance, or at least get you to see that it's within you. It's at hand. The kingdom is at hand. I like personally talking about abundance. Raymond Charles Barker talked about abundance all the time. But again, I'm also sensitive to the fact that many people all over the world right now are feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders. Many people are not feeling particularly abundant at this point. That's probably one of the reasons, ultimately I decided to talk about abundance today. I'm hoping this talk will be helpful to all of us to be reminded that we are abundantly supplied and supported. We are a prosperous community. We have people that are wanting to support us, and we're thrilled to get your support. Jimmy said there's links in our social media, on our website. We're trying to extend our healing message to everybody everywhere. There's a reason this audience is growing and growing, and there's something like 4,000 or 5,000 people that we have now on our extended mailing list who requested information. So we're growing because we're giving people the messages and the reminders that they want to hear, they need to hear. I'm reminding you today of what I have to remind myself of every day. I have to love myself. I have to extend the love that I have. I have to keep focusing on seeing the God, the good in everything and all the time. We have a vision at the center, and it is to be a welcoming spiritual community, and we're here to transform lives. Lives that can be a part, it's actually for empowered living. We do this by providing these gatherings and lessons Wednesday night, Thursday night, Sunday, and we will have other classes at other times. And we'll do these classes as we do both in person and through Zoom. And you'll also be able to view us on numerous social media sites. I'm very aware that many people are worried right now about their savings. They're worried about their future. They're worried about how they can buy their groceries. They're worried about fuel. They're worried about what's going to happen next. The news, as we speak of, is full of stories about rising prices, job losses, political division, and much more. It's hard for a lot of people not to feel overwhelmed by it all. Thankfully, people who tune in here regularly, people who start to embrace this teaching and live affirmatively, don't let themselves get too caught up in all of the sensational and the negative press that's everywhere, it seems. People who regularly participate in this teaching are training themselves to see what is new, to see what's good, to see what's exciting. As you do that, as you start to develop positive expectancy, your world literally turns. The more you focus on it, the more you will see. Most every week, I suggest people cut back on watching too much of this media, too much of this news, because it's really rare to see good news in the media. Most of the media and stories are about the negatives, if you haven't noticed. You'll see cities being torn apart and people being killed and, on and on and on. And you don't walk away feeling wonderful. So on one hand, we want to be aware, but on the other hand, how aware do you want to be? How much do you want to watch that stuff being recycled? Each of us can decide just how much of it we want to listen to. We don't have rules here. I'm just offering some suggestions. You could look, as was told to me 30 years ago, on loveliness. You could look on beauty. You can be in nature. You can think great thoughts. It would be really wonderful if we intentionally put our consciousness, our thoughts, our thinking on beauty and on things of learning and things that will lift us up. Each of us, again, can make that decision for yourself. I want you to know, we know, again, a lot of the country is struggling and that it can be a real challenge to practice our teaching, especially if you're new. And if you are thinking there's some kind of punishing power somewhere out there above you or wherever, and if you're thinking that you're in any way not good enough, and if you're letting yourself entertain what's on TV or on your devices, entertain ideas of strife, division, and any idea that you are disadvantaged or less than. The more you do that, it's like digging your own grave. Louise Hay said we're each responsible for our lives and our own thinking. We learn here not to take things personally. I have many favorite quotes. From the Four Agreements, Don Miguel, refuse to be offended. See if you can practice that. And not to take things personally. People are always expressing themselves at their level of consciousness. So that's not a good thing, that's not a bad thing. That's just where people are at. We don't want to take that personally. We don't have to be offended. There's no need to judge anyone, and there's no need to correct anyone. In our teaching, you've heard it said many times before, unless you're very new, we do our work within mind. We do our work in mind. What that means is we do our work in consciousness. It's a big enough challenge to work on ourselves. It's a big enough challenge for us to, within ourselves, work on having positive expectancy. We don't have to change the world. If we just work on ourselves and develop positive expectancy, you'll be amazed. You'll transform your life, and in the process, you'll touch many people just because you will have changed. Again, it's a big enough challenge to keep focused on the good that's happening in life, especially when you're bombarded with negative messaging. You have the ability to literally change that channel on TV. I'm always just changing the channel or turning the damn thing off. You have the ability to do that. So there's a lot of negative messaging, again, in the media, but there's also a lot of negative messaging that we have internally. And that's what I'm really always attempting to get at on Thursdays and Sundays. The world is going to do what the world does. The world always will. The people who are attracted to this teaching, are like the people used to be attracted to Emerson. They're few in number, relatively, right? Okay, you might say, well, there's thousands of us, and there are. But in terms of the world, the world is out there acting and reacting, and they're not using the power they have to change their lives. So we're paying attention to our messaging, the conversation that we have internally with ourselves. And we pay attention to the conversation that we're having with our family, our friends, our coworkers. That's the work we do, the inner work, and we're called to do, and we can change our life as we change our consciousness and change our messaging. There have always been people throughout history that weather every storm, and people that even through the adversity will see good, and they'll see opportunities in challenging times. Many of them have been mystics because they don't get thrown off They know that there's good here, that, no matter what's happening, this is their consciousness. So again, this is about consciousness, and this is about developing a healthy consciousness, a prosperous and abundant consciousness. If you work with your inner conversation and you learn to lift it high, you will find happiness and abundance that's already here. It's always been here. Our community and our lessons are always here to uplift you and support you and help you see the opportunities and the good that's at hand. We're here to support you, remind you of the power you have within, and the power that will give you strength and the courage that will keep you moving forward. And we'll teach you again and again about developing positive expectancy. Every time we gather, it's our intention to move forward together with faith in ourselves and in each other, knowing that the universe supports us. It supports each and every one of us as we move forward and we take a higher road. From a spiritual perspective, looking past the appearances in our life and in the world, looking past what we hear, what we see, there's always a greater reality. But you have to develop that insight. You have to train yourself to see the God, the good. And that's the practice, seeing the God, the good. I always talk about Edwina Gaines, because she uses those two words interchangeably. I'm here to see the God, I'm here to see the good. There's a presence and there's a power and there's nothing else. There's an old poem, God and I in space alone with nothing else to view. See, that's the idea. It's God and I in space alone. The thing is that we live, move, and we have our being in this energy. There's nothing else but it. So we want to pay attention to our thinking and our consciousness, because that's where all the trouble starts. We want to let go of the negatives, let go of the resentments. We want to be in communion with the idea that there is this one energy. It's in us, a part of us, it's around us, and it's in everyone else. If we take a pause and we reflect on the fact that the average person today has access to more important information at their fingertips than any scholar or any time in the past. People have access to the world right now, and usually in a device as big as this. This phone has more ability in it than the computer I bought, my first computer, when I was 40 years old. It has vast amounts of information, and it's available to everybody. There's no book anymore that I can't read on it. There's no information I can't access. We live in a very abundant time. We have access to medical treatments that can cure diseases that were once considered fatal and incurable. We have surgical procedures that save thousands of lives every single day throughout the world. And when it comes to our basic needs, we have more choices and options than there have ever been in human history. We tend to forget all this when we are struggling and we don't know, how we're going to pay for the groceries, and we don't know how we're going to get by. We tend to forget how supplied we really are. And it's true, it's very true that some people right now who are on the call might be struggling to just figure out how to make ends meet right now. And we care, and that's certainly a cause for concern. But it's also important to remember that we are each an individualization of spirit, a spirit that has everything and that gives everything, of a source, of an energy. And we have this inner guidance always available to us if we commune with it and we learn to rely on it and we ask questions of it. We will have the answers. And we understand that there's many resources for people if they learn to reach out for help. If you're sitting alone in your room and you're doing Ain't It Awful and Poor Me, and that's pretty much the way you're working it, you're not giving the universe a chance. If you work with what we're talking about and you know you're supplied and supported, and you put what we call a demand on consciousness, and you're willing to take first steps and take action, you'll find that the answers are there for you, within you, and that their people and things will come together for you. Deepak Chopra once said something that I liked. He said, the universe has great organizing power, and it will respond to you. It does respond to you. So we want to get with it, and because we have so much power and abundance available if we learn to align ourselves with it and think in a certain way, so we become open channels to receive the good that's everywhere. As people come into the center and tune into our broadcast, we will always, always remind you that you are one with this energy, this source, this God, this higher power, this universe. Whatever you want to call it, we will remind you every week that you have what it takes. You have what it takes. That's a special line for me. My grandfather, who I used to drive around town when he was my age, no less, he had had a stroke. He adored my mother, and he used to tell me at every opportunity regarding my mother, you know, she has what it takes. And then he said, you have what it takes. My mother became a huge success by, I think, anyone's standards. And I've often wondered if that was because her father, my grandfather, was constantly giving her those kinds of messages. You have what it takes. You have what it takes. Everybody in this call has what it takes. You have everything you need. Those are the kinds of messages we need to be giving ourselves over and over again. You have everything you need. It's all within you. You have infinite intelligence, creativity, and power operating through you. That's a fact also. It's an important fact. Even though there are many challenges in your life, perhaps, and untold challenges in the world, even if you've done terrible things or things you think are horrible mistakes, you've made big errors, there's always been a gift, a lesson in everything that you've ever done. You know, you have become wiser. You are much wiser now than you have ever been before. And again, you have what it takes. You have what it takes to meet any challenge. As you join us week by week, and I invite you to tune in as often as you can, because we're going to keep reminding you, and then you will keep reminding yourself, and you'll begin to do affirmative prayer. You'll develop vision boards. You will create a great vision for your life, and then before you know it, you'll be in a whole different world of your own making. As you join us week by week, as you are present in our classes, we'll show you how to access this inner power, how to upgrade your inner dialogue, and how to use your inner power more effectively. These are practical lessons. I don't think personally they're all that hard. We need to remind ourselves, though, over and over again, and we need to apply some of this new information because we want to experience a more abundant life, a happier life, and we can do it. And we can have it. Abundance is within reach. We live, again, in a time of immense wealth, knowledge, and resources. So let us take heart and remember that no matter how challenging things may seem at the moment, and I know we get the messages, some of you are dealing with some very challenging things. The thing to remember, again, is we live, we move, and we have our being in this substance. And you know, you are part of it. You have infinite intelligence available to you. So you can tell yourself what I need to know is revealed to me now, or will be revealed to me at the perfect moment. And you'll wake up tomorrow and you'll have your answers. It works like that. It works quickly. The universe responds to you with the information you need at the perfect time. You're surrounded by this energy. It's a presence. It's never an absence. It's here in every moment, and every moment is a presence that's here. It's in every breath. In every breath, there's a chance to feel it within. In every heartbeat, there's a reminder of its love, and it's there to inspire and guide. Let us take a pause now and commune and invite this into our hearts. Sense it. Know it is there for you. It always is there for you. And let us remember by shifting our focus to this presence. Let us shift our focus to it and remember that we can tap into this ever-giving power and the possibility that's available to us at every single moment. Let's be resolved further to practice on focusing on what we have rather than on what's wrong and what's missing. Because if you keep doing it the other way, what's wrong and what's missing and what's wrong in the world and what's wrong with you and what's wrong with life and what's wrong with other people, I promise you, you're creating a life that's going to be full of disasters, and it doesn't have to be that way. Ernest Holmes said suffering is not God ordained. Bill Wilson said misery is optional. Both of them are saying the same thing. You don't have to go down those roads. You can deliberately, stop that train. We'll call it a train of causation, because that type of thinking creates those kind of experiences. So let's be resolved to practice and focusing on the good we have. I don't care if the refrigerator is half full. You celebrate what's in it, or your health is maybe not what it was, but it's something. Celebrate what we have. The more we shift our focus to what's here and now and celebrate it, it's like opening up a channel so we can experience more. Focus on what we have. Let's forget focusing on what's wrong and missing, who's wrong and who's bad, and all of that stuff. Let us tap into the natural abundance of the universe, which we can observe everywhere. I've been lately telling people, take a different street, start observing different things, see the smiles, see the beauty. It's there for you if you open your eyes. A lot of people are just on autopilot. They're not noticing anything. I don't think that's necessarily most of you on the call, because most of you, I think, are seekers, and you're really wanting to up-level, upgrade. You want your life, you want to see your life, you want to utilize the power you have. So we let go of resistance of anything that is blocking us. We let go of negative beliefs about success, and knowing and having the vision. We start to know and have the vision that we deserve to have a wonderful life. Our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality, so it's important to examine anything that comes up in the way of a negative belief, a lack or limitation, or if you're holding on to any resentment at all towards anybody. It's your job to find a way to neutralize that, replace it. The 12-step programs would have you praying for these people that, you're resenting. Just, find the way to let go of it. You have the ability to do this. We can choose to focus on abundance, and we can trust in the universe. We can take action also, both practically and spiritually, in order to improve our situations, and to create a more abundant life. We can tap into natural abundance of the universe just by letting go of our resistance and negative beliefs about success, and knowing abundance is within reach. That's our title today. Abundance is within reach. I've got some suggestions for you, a few suggestions. You can use what you like. Practicing daily affirmations and denials. Release any kind of judgment. When you're being negative. Pay attention to that conversation you're having with yourself, because it creates your life. Wherever you're coming up negative, where you're coming up negative, wherever you see that you're going in a negative direction, stop in the name of love. Simply stop. Replace it. Release the need for the negative thing. And if it's about another person, say, I release you and I set you free. Pray for the person if you want to or need to. These are suggestions. Lately I'm going to be talking a lot more about creating a really fantastic vision for yourself. You might create a board, or you may use a journal where you think and dream and you put it all down and you sense and you feel. You get pictures and you ask yourself statements of what you want to be when you grow up, what you want to achieve, and let your imagination grow wild and let the vision become great. And write it down. Don't judge it. Go with the flow. Visualization is a powerful tool, and it will help shift our mindset toward greater things towards abundance and success. We want to learn how to do affirmative prayer. The center will teach it soon. It's not complicated. It used to be taught in a way that was complicated. But I'm here to tell you it's fairly simple. But the thing is, as you learn to do affirmative prayer, you keep doing it and keep doing it, and you build up your consciousness. When you know something and you know that you know it, see, some of you I know have been working on informations, and you're developing your consciousness. And when you know something is so, then it's time to take inspired action toward your goals rather than denying them. You don't want to die with the music in you. There's a life that you can have. And so when you're in sync and you have this sensation, take that risk. Take inspired action. Other reminders. The abundance you seek in life is a reflection of the abundance that's within you. Abundance is not something we acquire, we strive for, or we struggle for. It's something that we tune into. It's already within you. The universe is abundant, and it's constantly inspiring us. All we have to do is be open, more open to receive it. Abundance, first and foremost, we need to understand, is always about consciousness. It's training yourself to have positive expectancy. Doing the gains again, seeing the God in the good. That's where we're training ourselves. As you go the other direction, simply stop. And, this is about consciousness. It's not about you having to do anything out there with a job or another person, make people do anything. It's about having that consciousness. Training yourself to have positive expectancy. And again, I'll remind you, this was from my grandfather, knowing that you have what it takes. Each of you have what it takes. Abundance is a way of being in the world that attracts what we desire. True abundance is having everything we need in the moment and trusting that the universe will continue to provide. Here, I've got a quote from Oprah Winfrey. The more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. Abundance is viewed as a natural state of being, and it's available to all of us. It's not just about acquiring material wealth or possessions. Rather, it's about aligning ourselves with this infinite spirit that is inherent in the universe and in you. It's a spiritual principle that can be cultivated through conscious awareness and positive thinking. We absolutely know the universe is abundant by the radiant display in nature. Just look everywhere. It's everywhere. It's astonishing. We know that it's there, and we know the abundance is everywhere you look. And we know that all people have the capacity to tap into this inner knowing. Our teaching also recognizes that our thoughts and beliefs can limit our access to abundance. So if you're a negative thinker and you're doing ain't it awful and poor me and I don't have and this is wrong and that's wrong and if you're doing woe is me, if this is what you're doing and ain't it awful, what do you think's going to happen? Your thoughts and beliefs will definitely limit your access to the good that's available to you. Negative and limited thinking and beliefs will block the flow of abundance into our lives, whereas positive and affirming beliefs will open the way for abundance to flow freely. David Walker, one of the past presidents in the movement, used to say we need to open up avenues in mind. Now, how do you think you open up avenues in mind to receive your good? It's about developing your consciousness and having positive expectancy, and you will create avenues in mind. The good that you are looking for is longing to express through you. So to experience abundance, one must passionately cultivate positive expectancy. It's within reach. It's there by focusing on abundance rather than lack. Expressing gratitude for what you already have. Whatever you have, express gratitude for it. Even if it isn't all that you've had before, express gratitude for it and visualize and affirm the abundance that you want to manifest and know it's here and available. Louise, who many of you love, I know, wrote a great deal about the power of positive thinking and the connection between our thoughts and our physical health and life experiences. She defined that abundance as the feeling of fullness and richness in every area of life, including our relationships, our health, our creativity, and our spiritual well-being. Louise believed that we can attract abundance into our lives by shifting our thoughts and beliefs from a scarcity mentality, which is what most of the world has, to one of abundance. This means letting go of limiting beliefs like I don't have enough, and all the things we're full of self-doubt. Any type of languaging, I'll never be able to afford that. And she said we want to replace all this stuff with positive affirmations such as I am worthy of abundance, and the universe is abundance, and there's enough for everyone. She believed that we can attract more abundance into our lives as our thoughts and beliefs have a powerful effect on our experiences and our outcomes. She encouraged all of us to practice gratitude and, again, visualization, work with visualization techniques to help manifest our desires and focus always on the positive aspects of our lives. I want to mention a word or two about scarcity, the idea of scarcity, abundance versus scarcity. Scarcity consciousness is what most people in the world have. So I'm not saying all of you on the call, because I'm assuming a large number of you, if not most of you, have done some work on yourself and you don't have a scarcity consciousness. The scarcity consciousness is what most people in the world have, and it's what most of us here are working to let go of. Scarcity consciousness is the belief or consciousness that says there's only so much good to go around. It suggests that other people might have gotten their good already, but I haven't gotten mine. Scarcity consciousness would suggest happiness and contentment and success are all connected to things that we will either need to struggle for, fight for, or we just won't get. We'll just have to accept that we'll never have. See, that's scarcity thinking. Abundant consciousness is the idea that abundant consciousness isn't about having a lot of wealth necessarily. It's about viewing the world as a place where we always have enough. Plenty to use, plenty to share, and plenty to, I don't think I have the expression right. Plenty to use, plenty to share, plenty to spare. Well, how does it go? Something like that.
Pressed down and running over.
Yeah, pressed down and running over. Jimmy will tell you what it is when he comes up and does his remarks. Abundance consciousness is about viewing the world as a place where we always have enough, knowing without great effort or struggle that we are supplied and supported. This is a consciousness where we know that we can always create more value and more wealth and resources. Like, in other words, it's inexhaustible. There's ways we can learn to see abundance. If you want to, have an abundant consciousness, we want to start to live and see abundance in everything, in changing circumstances. Here are some practices that will help some of you, whatever practice you want to start. If you start doing these things, they'll have a cumulative benefit. It's like doing affirmations. You build up your consciousness. You might recall me talking about, Benjamin Franklin's, I think it was Poor Richard's Almanac, where he was saying, assume a virtue if you have it not. And the thing was, you'd practice a virtue for so many weeks, and then it would start to become a part of you. It would become a habit. Some of the abundance suggestions need the same type of application. Here's just a couple. The thing to know is if you practice them for 3 or 4 weeks, you're likely to start seeing some changes and feel much differently. There'll be a cumulative benefit. And if you like what you're experiencing, instead of doing them for 3 or 4 weeks, try doing them for 3 months, or then possibly longer. This is like engaging in a very big, grand new vision for your life, and it doesn't matter, again, if you're 18 or you're 88. Start and be amazed. You'll be amazed before you're halfway through. Developing this vision and putting it to practice. Again, the first thing, you've all heard it before, and I've already mentioned it, practice gratitude all the time. Many of you older folks like myself have heard of Zig Ziglar. He was a very popular author. He was involved in a lot of sales training. He used to talk about the kind of people who lived as complainers. And I ask you, are you one of them? Louise would talk about the people who use the word should all the time. It's basically you're saying this isn't good enough and that isn't good enough and you should do this and you should do that. And, it's griping and complaining. Zig Ziglar said, there's a lot, there's people who live their lives as complainers and as fault finders. And his encouragement was to learn to be a good finder. Reminds me of Edwina Gaines. She's here to see the God or the good. That's a spiritual practice. Practice that for 3 weeks. I will say I can see God in this. I can see good in this. I can see peace instead of this. This is the work we do. Try that for 3 weeks. Bill Tolliver used to always say to me, one of my teachers, learn to be a lifter rather than a leaner. Keep on working on lifting people up. Thank people. Appreciate them. Look them in the eyes. Give them a smile. This is a spiritual practice. If you do this, your life gets lifted up. It's about consciousness. Write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for. You might think, I don't have the time for that. This is trite. This is simple. It's not trite. It's not simple. If you start cultivating an attitude of gratitude, you could be amazed before you're halfway through and how your life is lifted up. If you're having a tough day, you're having a tough time at your job or anything like that, with something or someone, instead of writing down 3 things that day, sit down and make a list of 10 things that you are grateful for about that situation or that person who you think is upsetting you. This will change everything, But the thing is, you got to do it, because if everything we teach you is just an intellectual exercise and you don't apply anything, nothing's going to change. You don't want to do it. Some of you, I know, there's resistance. And when that's happening, ministers will say, your consciousness is just tripping you up. You see a good idea, it's a good idea, but you just don't want to do it. So, what's going to change? Not much, right? So start small with small things. Give yourself reminders. Tune in here if you can. We have broadcasts 3 times a week, and you can watch us around the clock if you want to. In any event, we're always reminding you, as we remind ourselves, to practice. I have to remind myself all the time and practice it. And we do it one day at a time. Another suggestion is, again, appreciation. It seems for many our default position is cynicism. We're cynical about the world, we're cynical about the government, we're cynical about inflation, we're cynical about people, we have a need to critique every living thing, all of that. If you tend to be critical and you use the word should a lot, then you are working against yourself, plain and simple. Are you longing to change? It's a great line from a song. Are you longing for change? Well, you can have change. The universe is all about change. Do you want to align yourself with the God, the good that's in operation, that's expressing and, evolving? Then do it. Make it a habit to express sincere appreciation to at least one person every day. If you do this daily, you'll soon see results. Connect with yourself and say, good job. Look at yourself in the mirror. Say, I love you. I appreciate you. And again, say that to yourself. That's part of the Louise Hay information. Say it to yourself every day. I love, accept, and approve of you. Tell people that you appreciate them. Be lavish in your praise. And you will move upward. You will level up. You'll be moving up towards the stars. You'll be hitching your wagon to the stars because you're not down there in the muck. Soon you will be seeing good everywhere and in a lot of people because you're not going to go to the other places that you might have gone to during your life. Another suggestion. This comes from the 12-step programs. Change your playgrounds and change your playmates. Don't be a part of the council of the wicked. Just release the need to be doing the negative chatter. Practice what we call careful companionship. Hang out with people that are going to lift you up and lift your spirits up. Don't keep going back to an empty well. Be smart enough to realize this is a very brief and beautiful life, and put yourself in environments and around people, and choose what you bring into your consciousness that will be uplifting. Another suggestion, practice generosity. Give what you want to receive. Give what you have. Give when it's a little difficult. By giving, especially when giving more, we're taking the stand, I have enough. I can create more. I have enough. Enough will be there. Another suggestion is practice. This is for creating this abundance within. Practice mental nutrition. Let's become rigorous about screening out the news, the stories, the entertainment, the literature, or anything that creates a sense of division, fear, or a sense of scarcity. Mental nutrition, involves also releasing our critical attitude or negativity. And this doesn't suggest we're to be out of touch with reality, but we want to monitor how we are responding to whatever we expose ourselves to. Everybody here has what it takes, and we're all at choice, and we can educate ourselves and commune with life-giving ideas. Additionally, try to immerse yourself in the kind of content, thoughts, and stories that reflect the attitudes that you're wanting to experience in your life and your vision. Humor is always good for the body and the soul. Suggestion, create an environment for yourself that encourages growth. Keep on telling yourself, I have what it takes, I can do this. Don't sap your growth, your creativity, or your enthusiasm by getting sucked into other people's drama. Tell yourself, I could see peace instead of this than any of the stuff that you get involved with when you're there. Abundance is about your consciousness, nobody else's. So be the guardian at the gate. You have a right to be rich, and your wealth should be enjoyed in peace, harmony, and love. I have lots of quotes by lots of people. I'm not going to read them all, but let me give you a couple. Every inner longing or desire is the voice of spirit or God within you, seeking to be expressed. And the universe always says yes to you. So take a risk. God or spirit is the source of all good, and all good flows to you and through you as you think and believe. Another, believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities, and you will prosper beyond your wildest dreams. You are here to express your highest potential, and the universe is always conspiring to support your success. Let's start working on developing a great vision for our lives. I want to find, I'm skimming through to get to Raymond Charles Barker. I have so much information, we could do a whole workshop on this, but let's move to Raymond Charles Barker, who was the first minister, the founding minister here. He was the founding spiritual leader here. He loved talking and writing about abundance. He always said, I have a rich father. And of course, today we'd probably say we have a rich father, mother, God. He believed in having a first-class life. So here are a few things that he said on the subject of abundance. The abundance of source, or the abundance of God, is like an ocean, but it must flow to us to be experienced. It must flow through us to be experienced. Our consciousness, So he's talking about, again, developing these bigger buckets. God can't do for us what it can't do through us. Raymond said money is an effect, it's not a cause. Money is an effect of prosperous or abundant consciousness. So consciousness needs to come first, right? Next, all that the Father or Spirit has is yours. It's already here, it's awaiting recognition. Then, God or good Spirit is the source of all supply, and you are one with that source. And for people who are just blaming life on their not having this or that, he says, the lack of abundance is a mental attitude. It's not a condition. And then on the subject of limitation, or what's wrong and what's missing, he said the only lack or limitation there is in our own consciousness. Two more. Abundance is a mental attitude and not a financial condition. So if you're talking about your finances and stuff, it would be better for you to work on your consciousness around abundance. It's a mental attitude, it's not a financial condition. If you change it around within you, it'll start to change in the outer world. And last, he said, your income is a reflection of your state of consciousness. So I've been taught for at least 30 years, never complain, stop doing ain't it awful and poor me. I'm going to exclaim and proclaim and celebrate the good I have. And, if I keep doing that, doors open in mind, in consciousness. And now I have a few quotes from Catherine Ponder, who's another person who was a prosperity teacher. She said, expect the best and the best will come to you. The power of expectation is truly a force in your life. You will always receive what you expect. The universal law of prosperity is giving and receiving. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. If you stop the flow of either one, you interfere with nature's way, nature's intelligence. The law of prosperity is also based upon the law of cause and effect. If you want to experience prosperity and abundance, you must first sow the seeds of prosperity through your words, through your actions. Prosperity is not something you get, it's something you already have. You simply have to become aware of it and claim it as your own. So you have this power within you. It's infinite. You can draw upon it. You have a rich bank account with your name on it. You just really need to learn how to receive. You're already prosperous. You just have to realize it and accept it. The more you appreciate and give thanks for the abundance that is in your life, the more you will attract. Gratitude is the key to prosperity and abundance. When you have a prosperous state of mind, everything in your life becomes prosperous. So it's time for me to wrap this up. As we conclude this lesson, we know abundance is here now. It's within reach. That's our talk title. It's here now. This power, this presence is within you, operating through you, always available. We release the need to struggle. We release the need to complain. We release the need to seek for what is outside of us. Again, there's no need to struggle. We turn to the power within and we connect with the infinite source that's available and a part of us. We connect with the abundance that resides within each and every one of us. We are prospered. We have more than available than we could ever understand. The kingdom of God or the universe is here and now, and it's available to you right now. I invite all of you to join us again this Thursday, where we'll dive deeper into the principles of Louise Hay's transformative book, You Can Heal Your Life, and then again next Sunday at 10:45 a.m. And always bring your friends and family to join us, and tune in on Facebook if you want to see a rebroadcast, or if you want to introduce our teaching to your friends and have them receive an empowering message. Remember, abundance is not just a possibility, it's a reality that's available to all of us. You don't have to become good, you don't have to be saved, you don't have to do anything other than know that you are an inlet and outlet of this divine energy, and know that you're supplied and supported. let's embrace abundance, let's live it, and let's share it with the world. Thank you for being a part of this morning's lesson and this community of abundant seekers and believers.